I get it. I understand. You know, what it looks like. When you start putting those puzzle pieces together, you see an entirely different picture.
Did you say anything to...
Tonight, an I-Team exclusive. The case of Darren Mack made international headlines.
A wealthy businessman kills his ex-wife, shoots a judge, and then drives off to Mexico.
Now his son, who was just a teenager at the time, says his dad is partly innocent. He talked to the I-Team's David Charnes.
It was the biggest little thing to happen in the biggest little city. Jory Mack was in high school when his father stabbed his stepmother to death and then shot the judge who was handling their divorce. Tonight, 13 years after his father took a plea deal, Jory is talking publicly for the first time. He and his father say a new trial would show a different story than the one so many of us remember.
One person dead, one person shot, and he's in Mexico.
It's June 2006. Jory Mack is 17. His father, Darren, a wealthy pawn shop owner, stabs ex-wife Charla in his Reno condo.
It was self-defense, and all the evidence actually corroborates that.
Hours later, Darren shoots the judge handling his bitter divorce and child custody case. He runs off to Mexico, surrendering 10 days later.
Was that they didn't even interview the most important witness.
Now 32, Jory says what happened in that garage should never have happened at all.
When you start putting those puzzle pieces together, you see an entirely different picture.
According to court records, Charla came over to pick up their daughter. That's when prosecutors say Darren lured Charla inside this garage, stabbing her at least 6 times. Photos show the gruesome scene, but Jory says it was Charla who started the altercation, pointing to this court order which prohibited her from getting out of her car. According to Jory, it was Charla who became violent.
As he started walking back inside, she punched him in the back of the head.
That's when Darren, who says he was carrying a gun and a knife, fell to the ground.
She picked it up, pointed it at him, smiled, and then pulled the trigger.
But Jory says the gun didn't fire.
If she hadn't have pulled that gun, none of it would have happened.
The gun was never found, and there was no evidence at the scene of it firing. And Darren, he says, threw it away. Finding it, the Macks claim, would show Charla's DNA on the trigger.
It would prove that his story is true, which would prove self-defense.
Hours after Charla was killed, a sniper fired a shot through this window, hitting Judge Chuck Weller. Weller was hurt, but survived. Jory says his dad, an avid marksman, could have fired a fatal shot.
It would have been very easy if he wanted to kill him, that he just take another shot.
In court, prosecutors said Darren planned the ambush.
That plan was found in the defendant's home, on the defendant's kitchen table, under a stack of the defendant's documents.
If you're planning on doing something like this and you've been planning it for a while, you plan not to get caught.
The prosecution presented, but then a sudden plea.
You willfully, feloniously, and without authority of law stabbed Ed into the body of Charla Mack, causing her death. Is that correct?
That's correct. He never got to tell the story.
Jory also claims his father's signature on that plea deal was forged, comparing this signature to Darren's handwriting.
I wouldn't enter a guilty plea on murder because I didn't murder Charla.
Courts have denied them all. Now, in federal court, Darren claims his original legal team failed him by accepting a plea before any of their evidence was presented.
If my dad was guilty, he needs to do his time, and if he's not guilty, then he needs to be set free.
The question 13 years later remains, where's that gun, and what happened in that garage? We reached out to Darren Mack's previous legal team. They did not respond to our request for comment, but have previously denied Mack's claims in court. Darren Mack is now 59 and serving his sentence at the state prison in Lovelock. I'm David Charnes, 8 News Now.
Right now on 8newsnow.com and inside our app, look at the evidence yourself. We've compiled a slideshow of family photos and images uncovered from the court vaults.